Even. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Vaynant, for taking only a little bit of my time. He said when he walked in, he said, I'm going to talk as long as I can, Matthew, just to make sure. So I said, okay, I get it. Let's start with a quick greeting. I think it's been a while since we've done that. So let's stand up and quickly greet someone. You have 2 minutes. Quick say hello. You have not said hello to this morning yet. Okay, there we go. Oh, nice, Michael. Good job, man. Love it. All right, thank you, everybody. Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, I missed a step here. I should have told everyone as well that it's my uncle's 70th birthday. My uncle Richard, he's turning 70 today. I know he looks 52, but he is turning 70. So you can be sure to say happy birthday to Uncle Richard afterwards. He's turning 70 today. Great to have you with us, Uncle Richard, this morning. There's a lot going on, isn't there? The world has got some crazy news. I don't know, it feels like the world's going mad at the moment, and there's a lot of things happening out there. But even in our congregation, we've got some very exciting things. We are embarking on our youth camp tomorrow. I'll talk about that. I have an announcement afterwards that I'll make about that. I'm sure some of the kids who are here are very excited. We are about a total of 180 people in total going on this camp. So it's going to be huge. It's going to be massive. We've got about 35 just campers from our congregation alone, which is amazing, and about another 10 facilitators and helpers as well. So a big contingent from Somerset West, which I'm very proud of. And so there's a lot. There's a lot to be focusing our minds on and distracting us from where we are here today. But I'll ask for you for the next maybe 15, 20 minutes, just focus here right now. Where we are. We got a couple of scriptures that I want to go through this morning, and I think and I hope a lesson that is something that you can walk away with something practical. Because in the world today, and if we look at why there's so many challenges in the world today, there's definitely a lot of differences of opinion. There are varying thoughts on perhaps what is right and wrong and what is good and bad. And, we talk about right and left and politics and religion. And there's a lot of division, I would say, out there as well in the world. And there's a lot of conflict of opinion. And I think that brings to the fore something that we probably all deal with on a fairly regular basis, but especially with social media and the news out there, it sort of really highlights a lot of this conflict that exists. And a lot of this exists when there's obviously two opposing thoughts, or even just someone who thinks something different to you. Not necessarily that they think you're wrong or you think they're wrong, but just because you're different or you have a different thought, there's sometimes this conflict, and it raises many situations. And so today I was hoping to look at a way of how we could deal with sometimes these difficult people that we are challenged with. And I know that might sound harsh, but I think when we look at the Bible and we look at some of the scriptures that are out there and we look at the examples, we know that when you stand for something and when you have an opinion and when you have a thought, it normally means that you're standing against something else. And especially as Christians, we're going to be faced with that, aren't we? We're out there in the world, we're facing people who don't agree with some of the thoughts that we might have, some of the opinions we might have. But even just from a perspective of us trying to live a life, we'll come across people who are challenging, whether it's at our school, whether it might be someone who's in our class, someone who fights with us or argues with us or picks on us or bullies on us, whether it's someone in our work situation, maybe our boss or a colleague or a co-worker who is difficult to deal with and difficult to work with. And what I hope we can walk away with from today is how should we deal with that as a Christian? Because that's the reality, isn't it? There's definitely ways for us to deal with some of these situations. And I saw a video this morning. Actually, someone shared it with me this morning about, I suppose, someone on YouTube who makes videos about different things. And he was extremely frustrated because he keeps catching these people who are doing scams with tourists. And he keeps catching them, and the police never seem to do anything. And so he decided to take matters in his own hands. And he went out there with pepper spray and bats and sticks and started beating up these people. And for me, I was like, oh, that just kind of, is that the way to go about it? Is that the way we're trying to achieve something good? And so the question that I have for us today is, how do we stay Christ-like when dealing with these difficult people? When dealing with these people that we are challenged by, that really maybe push our buttons or are doing something that really makes us frustrated or challenges us or just make our lives difficult. Maybe that's what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. We're going to work and these people are giving me a hard time about nothing, just because of maybe who they are, maybe something else that they're dealing with. And so the first thing we need to understand is there are definitely different types of people we're going to come across in our lives. And I've just highlighted 4 different ones, and I'm hoping, this certainly doesn't classify everyone there, but I'm hoping that the people that you're dealing with, and maybe the challenging person that you're thinking about right now that sort of fits into this frame set that you have right now, maybe fits into one of these categories. But of course, the first category is a positive one. So I want to start with that. We've got to realize that if we look in Proverbs 27, verse 17, there are people that are going to be out there that are going to sharpen us. They're going to improve us. It might be difficult. If you've ever sharpened a blade or a knife, there's friction, right? It takes friction. I did a lesson once here about how to sharpen a blade, and it takes friction, and there's a bit of breaking off of the blade, and there's sort of a hard scraping that happens. However, despite that sort of friction, there's a positive outcome because we have a sharper blade. So, in verse, and I'm going to go through a lot of verses. They're all listed in the outline, so you don't have to flip quickly through. This is not a Bible marathon that we're going to go through today, but make a note, maybe 1 or 2 verses that hit for you. But Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." So we're going to have that. There's certainly the scenario where we could have someone who's encouraging, or someone who's building us up. It may not feel like that maybe in the moment, and they're challenged sometimes, but there are people like that. And we should think about that and realize those are the people we should want in our lives. But then we also have the needy. We have people who are out there, and Galatians 6 verses 2 talks about a really important principle as a Christian. We need to carry each other's burdens, and in this way we fulfill the law of Christ. So there's a situation where there is someone who may need us. And just because we are not comfortable or are lazy or are busy in our own lives and we don't want to help those people, or we feel, okay, fine, I'll pick up Carlo on the way to church today, fine, all right, take 3 minutes to go fetch him, that's not someone who's difficult in our lives. That's someone or a brother or a sister who needs help. And they have a burden, and we got to help them carry it. That's not what we're talking about today. But there's definitely those people in our lives. And then we talk about the proud and the narcissistic. And this is probably, I'm glad Uncle Richard's here this morning, because I think this is one of the verses that he talks about quite a lot in his old, wise age here. And Proverbs 16, verse 18, it says, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." And when we look at some of these situations out there in the world today, we realize that it is about me, myself, and I. It's about what I want in the world. It's about how I want the world to see me. It's about what I expect from the world. Or I am important enough that I should have this. This is how I should be. This is how I want. And we know, of course, that doesn't fit into the framework of Christianity, but we know that that results oftentimes in this destruction that we're talking about. And then Titus chapter 3, verses 9 to 10 says, "But avoid foolish controversies and genealogies and arguments and quarrels about the law." Right? Remember, the context here is that you had the law by the Jews and the Israelites, who they were fervent in what they believed, and of course, from that,